Bienvenidos. Welcome to Cafecito with Rosie. I am so excited to welcome you into our new season. I know it has been a little bit, but now we are back and I miss you. I miss you a lot, but I'm not going to stop anymore. Many things have changed, but today we are going to be talking about leadership with a servant heart and why you do not need to sell to be able to be successful. So today I'm very excited to have my really good friend Fernando Mejia. I consider this man one of my mentors.
Thank you.
One of the first time when I came into the industry and I wanted to connect with others, I met this gentleman and we have become friends. And since then, I've learned so much. So I'm going to give him the opportunity. Fernando, tell us who you are, what you're doing, how you help the community.
Well, who I am personally, my background, I'm originally from Honduras, was born in Honduras, and we moved here in early 80s. My mother, my father, and my brothers,
Okay.
and pretty much did the whole immigrant journey. Moved to New Hampshire, New Orleans, and long story short, ended up growing up in Minnesota, which was probably one of the best decisions. I'm proud to be from Minnesota, aka Minnesota Nice, is what they call us. Earlier in my career, earlier in my 20s, moved to Florida, and I did everything, the hard W-2 employee and being in Florida. And earlier on, I said to myself, this is not what I want to do. And ended up opening up my own business, not for scale or any empire building, just wanted to work for myself. I was working 70, 80 hours a week in the car business. And then later on, I said to myself, you know what? If I could earn 60, 70% of my income, but for myself, I would be happy. Right. And I think at the end of the day, success means many things to different people, but really we're all searching for happiness.
Right.
And one thing led to the other, and we ended up scaling that from 5 retail locations, 10 retail locations. I mean, we've had up to almost 50 retail locations.
Yep.
And with over 100 employees. So other than the business side, I am a father of a beautiful 12-year-old girl. She's my world. She is my why. This is why I wake up every day. And one time playing catch with her, she asked me, Dad, did you ever want a little boy? And I said, you know what? Actually, I always wanted a daughter. I always knew I was going to have a daughter. So she's my world. And not only do I teach her how to, or she's just kind in general, but teaching her how to be kind and also being very truthful with her and showing her really the adversities of the real world.
Right.
I think is very important for her. But other than that, I'm happy to be here. And yes, we've known each other for about almost 18, 19 years now.
No,
So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
grown, right? From teenagers to now a little bit more mature teenagers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one of the things that and you mentioned it, is the search for happiness, right? So the American dream. What's the American dream? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But what kind of happiness is the one that you are pursuing? That is the part where if you come into this country or if you are starting your life and you're searching your why, right? At the end of the day, what you were created to do, only you can fulfill. And once you find that, which is where you align that leadership with a servant heart, is where you will find that satisfaction and you will find the ñeque or the grit, the tenacity to continue to do what you need to do. And I know you mentioned you have a few, employees, 100 employees. So tell me a little bit about when you leading those employees and you have all types of personalities. You have to bring them up. Some of them might have a different way of doing things. Some of them might have more education than others. What do you think was the first thing that you needed to learn to be able to guide or lead those employees to be able to give them the opportunity to be the best version of themselves?
Well, again, 100 now, but I've had thousands, right? And in my 19-year career, I have failed, meaning it's just like everything else. It's all repetitive. You're not going to get it right the first time. But after maybe there's many people have exited my business in my earlier career and later found out that I actually, it was me. I'm the one that exited a great team member of my. So I think the best thing to do is to recognize your ignorances, that you're not, just because you own a business and you're titled a leader,
Right.
leadership is an action,
Yes.
not a title. And just to look yourself in the mirror and just check your ego at the door and just keep refining who you are. And to this day, I'm continuing to refine myself, who I am. Just like happiness, there's different versions of happiness, and there's going to be different versions of leadership.
Yes.
What worked for you as a leader 5 years ago
Yeah.
is not going to work for you 5 years later. You might be in a different position. Your company might be in a different role. So just looking at yourself in the mirror and just making sure that you're refining yourself over and over and over. And I run into too many businesses all the time that their perception of a leader is that I'm at the top, they're at the bottom. When the reality is, it's actually, if you flip that over, and it's really where you're at the bottom and they're at the top, it's more of a funnel.
Right.
So all the problems come to you, and everything that's catched. So you are actually serving them. They're not serving you. Once you understand that they're serving, that you're serving them, not the other way around, they will feel it. You'll become more compassionate. You'll be able to educate them better. And really, that's why most people that stay, it's not, well, I'm giving them a Christmas party. Why are they leaving me if they're the highest paid people here? You have to look at other things. There's a check and there's an emotional paycheck. If you work on the emotional paycheck more than what you're giving them, monetary or a day off, look at the emotional paycheck.
Right.
And you're always serving them.
Yes. And see, this is the thing. I just finished reading The Slight Edge, which is an amazing book. But one of the things that they talk about in there is a saying: successful people fail their way to the top. Because you keep learning. Failing is part of succeeding. So don't think that from the beginning you're going to learn everything. It's just, what did you learn today? How can you fix that or readjust whatever the tendency was at that moment? Change it and then look for something new. And eventually, hey, Thomas Edison, that invented the light, which I hope is the person that is correct, he says that he knew 1,000 ways of how not to create light. All he took is one to create the light, but he tried 1,000 times before he invented that. So don't feel that you're always going to succeed, because failure is part of succeeding. Okay? So thank you again. Those amazing things. Now, you grew up and you say in Minnesota, and you had 4 brothers, and tell me a little bit about that childhood, which, again, it was probably a lot of that immersion that you have to come from your country originally to now a totally different environment. Perhaps you had to culturally learn new language, new way of doing things. How did that work, and how you see life now?
Great question. Again, I was very young. I was only 5 when I came here, but I do remember going to school and I only spoke Spanish. I probably spoke better Spanish when I was 5 than I do now. But I do remember the teacher asking me, what words do you know? I remember not feeling like I was part of, I was really kind of by myself and people making fun of me. I think I was going to ESL class, which is English as second language. They made fun of me. Right. So I do recall that. And I think more, I remember seeing my mother, after a certain while, my father did go back to Honduras. My mother decided to stay here because we were already Americanized. But I remember, and it still hurts my heart when I remember it, seeing her, I think it was probably around midnight. So it was probably more tougher for her than it was for me. But I do remember her pressing the play button and playing it back and trying to learn how to speak English. And with her thick accent, I remember laughing at her.
Right.
And it hurts my heart now, because at that, and she was upset at me. She goes, "Stop laughing at me," because I was just laughing at the accent. But then I remember that that not only does she work probably 12 hours a day, she's up late trying to learn how to speak a language that she really didn't need to. She could have stayed in Honduras, but she chose that to bring the family for better for better for us, right? Because we were kind of more of a middle class family over there. She was in a good position. My father did too, but there was some dangers there and some safety that. So for her to be doing that, I remember that she's trying to learn a language for us.
Right.
So to this day, I remember that, and again, it still catches me a little, because it's her for her own son to make fun of her. But I was 7 or 8 or something like that.
Right.
But I remember those tough times. So probably more tougher for her to get acclimated to that than probably myself being here when I was 5.
Yeah, and I tell you, she probably at that moment she remembers that, but she's so proud of you right now because how far you have come. And that's one of those things I also tell. I was lucky. I was blessed that I came with my brother, my sister, and my parents. But my parents left everything behind to give my siblings and I the opportunity to live the American dream. But my parents were teachers. They left their parents, they left their brothers, their sisters. But
Sacrifice.
now, fast forward 35 years later, one of the things that I learned in Ecuador, a lot of people smoke out of social peer pressure, I guess. And my parents smoke. I did not know that until about, I don't know, 2, 3 years later, somebody asked in our household here, hey, can I smoke inside your house? And we said, yeah, sure. And he says, do you have an ashtray? And we couldn't find an ashtray. When in Ecuador, we had an ashtray in every single corner of the house.
Sure.
And that's when it really dawned on me that my parents quit cold turkey smoking. And believe it or not, all of my uncles and some of my uncles over there, they still smoke, and my parents didn't. So getting out of that environment, leaving all that environment, although it was painful and although it was a lot of sacrifice, it also brought very good rewards, which it was my brothers and my siblings and I, we haven't picked up. Not that it's wrong. I don't judge anything, but we haven't picked up the cigarette habit, and we have saved a lot of money. So I was just thinking about it right now. A packet of cigarette is almost $10, and people smoke 1 pack a day. That's okay.
And it's amazing, when as a parent, what you say, what you do, how that influences, and parents are leaders, right? So be careful what you say, what you do, and the same thing in business, right? So you do as I say, not as I do, just really doesn't work. But people want to have, well, I'm the boss, you're not. Look at your business card, look at mine. You start operating that way, or you start operating like that way in your family, that's the results you're going to get.
Yep.
That's the culture you're creating, not just in your household, but also in your business.
Yeah. And you got to be careful too, coming from, our community where authority is something that we respect, but we respect to the point that sometimes we don't question. And we were told as children, don't question that. There has been things that were told to you, or habits that are not really helpful to be a successful business owner or a successful person in your life. And it's up to you as the new person that you are, as the new parent of the adult person that you become, that said, those habits are not healthy for us, and we can change. So, for example, the thing that I always said, right now I'm in the process that I want to walk every single morning because I want to. It just helps me be more centered. It helps me be a better version of myself. I don't do it because I want to lose the weight or anything. If not, it gives me more clarity. I can always use the excuse of saying, I don't have time for that. I don't want to get up early in the morning or half an hour earlier to do that. But I actually have been able to say to myself, you know what? I do want to get up half an hour early because that is what I do for me, so I can be a better version of myself during the day. And there is that little thing that says, no, you don't want to do it, but you can reparent. And I remember I can make that decision. And I think that gave me that empowerment that you love your parents, you love the authority, but you can also make the decision as an adult to take those behaviors that might not be the ones that help you to change them and make better decisions. So tell me a little bit about maybe a decision that you have made, because I know you keeping that in good shape all the time, and you're always studying, you're always going to events and learning more about your trade, which I you got to follow this guy in social media. He is all over the place. But tell me a little bit why you do that.
Well, real quick, and kind of a mixture to where you were at about why our parents do these sacrifices. As a parent, no matter where you're at, you always want your kids to be a better version of you.
Yes.
Right? And that's kind of really what our focus is, and that's the goal, right? And if they're a better version of us, then we're happy. That's all we want, right? And to what you were saying about waking up,
yes,
and going running. So I've been up and down in my health, but I've been more focused the past year than I've ever have. And I think people always think about the goal that says, I want to lose weight. That's a big goal, right? Because there's other things that you have to meet before that.
Right.
You have to go to the gym.
Yes.
You have to go running.
And you gotta stop eating.
And you have to wake up. So those are, and that's probably the hardest. Sometimes I have to wake up an hour early or half hour early. But you're right. I think that if you meet the goal and say, you know what, I just want to be active. I just want to be consistent in being active. And I'm not doing it for weight.
Right.
I just want to be, and that's how I started. I said, you know what? It doesn't matter to me if it's about muscles or losing weight. I just want to be happy.
Right.
And the thing is, I have a new philosophy, right? Because success is happy. Anything that gives me energy in return makes you happy.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And when I work out, when I feel good and I'm running, even if I'm losing weight or not, I'm happy. I feel happy. If you're stressed, depressed, whatever it is, go to the gym, go running. I guarantee you will have a boost of energy. Yes. And now that's just one part of the formula. There's other things too. Yes. Who your people are. Who do you surround yourself from? Right? The people you surround yourself with. If there's somebody that you're questioning or doesn't make you happy, remove them. Right. Because great people like yourself give me energy. Right. And when you give me energy, you make me happy. Yes. So just grab many things, and exercising has been one of those things that has made me happy. But I said to myself, man, I'm having a hard time waking up. Yes. Right? Alarm clock. So my goal, and if you guys have ever read Atomic Habits, definitely pick it up. He talks about just put your tennis shoes on every morning. Yes. That's the goal. Once you have your tennis shoes on, you grab your water. I have my water bottle. I have my vitamins. I have my Bluetooth. It's right there and then. They're not big goals. I don't have to walk to the kitchen. I don't have to go into my closet. Small little ones. And you keep that consistent. Yeah. Because I know that if I can exercise every day, like what you're doing, or like what we're doing, I'll keep, and that's how I was. I started running. I started doing, and then sooner, like everything else, you meet that goal, and now you want to increase it. Now you want more. Now you do want to lose weight. Now you do want to eat better. So I empathize exactly to what you're saying. Yeah, and again, this is our life. Is I always tell people, right? It's the day that the year that you are born, and then the year that you die. But it's that dash in the middle that makes that is the most important. And why not leave it to the fullest, right? So you talk about Atomic Habits. I talk about the Miracle Morning. So one of the things the Miracle Morning suggests is take your alarm clock and put it on the other side of the room. I should do that. So when it rings, you actually have to get up and do it. Now he also says have everything done before the night before. And he even says, now this is a little extreme, but some people it works. Sleep with the clothes on that you're going to do. So it's clean, right? In the gym. But is sleep in your, so you just put your shoes on, don't think about it and leave. To go to the gym. Yeah, to go to the gym. I do. Walk or whatever. I do that. Yeah, because again. They're comfortable. So when putting my clothes on, I do my silent meditation at that moment, and then thinking positive, because again, you mentioned something very important, who you surround yourself with.
If you are in a room where you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong room. Okay. If you are in a place where you come out of depressed, sad, you can make that difference of just make the decision of just walk away from that, because the people you surround you with yourself with, they will elevate you, they will help you be the best version of yourself, but they also love you and be honest enough and will tell you when you're messing up and you need some adjusting, and you are able to take that, and I don't call it criticism, but I call it a love way of saying, hey, you're not that person. What's going on? These people understand that there might be something in your life that needs to be addressed. So again, you can be that better leader and that better version of yourself.
And unfortunately, some of those people, most of the time, are friends you grew up with or family.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you don't get to choose family. But you definitely get to choose if you want to have them in your circle on a daily basis.
Yes.
There's some family members of mine that I might see them on Thanksgiving. I say hello to them.
Yes.
We might have a little chit chat, but I probably won't follow up with them anywhere else. And sometimes they're not even in my social media.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's not about followers. It's just about who I want to enrich myself with.
Exactly.
And remember, your kids are watching.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is the thing, right? So, for example, my parent, although my dad was a physical ed teacher, right? And he didn't build the habits. And now I did not build the habits. So my kids are struggling through that. But I know that for my grandkids, I'm going to be the one that's going to be taking them to the park and building those habits to them to say, you don't have to finish that, because my grandmother, for example, says, oh, I love Rosie. Go ahead and finish that food. I love seeing you eat. Of course, yes, Grandma, I'm going to keep on eating. Right? Yeah. And I had to break that habit that for me, food was more about rewards. That was happiness. It was because it made my grandmother happy.
Sure.
But it was not healthy.
That's the Latino mindset.
Yes, exactly. Are you so skinny? I was like, no, Grandma, I'm not skinny. And then, oh, you're chubby now?
Yeah.
Learning those habits, learning to have that healthy relationship with food after, loving my grandmother so much, right? This is what I will be able to empower my children now, even in this time when they're adults, and then my grandchildren when they get here, where they can make those decisions where they don't have to eat all the rice and beans that I love to.
That's right, yeah. So. I'm not sure if I answered your question. I think we were talking about a better version, and I believe that you asked me. I think we were speaking about the conferences and everything. I want to make sure that I answer your question.
Because I know you have made a little switch in your life. You're always evolving to be the best version of yourself. And I know recently you did a switch. And tell me a little bit more about that and those conferences. Why?
You're right. It's not necessarily a switch. It's just adding more to my portfolio. So I am a fund manager where we have a real estate debt fund, and we focus on investing in commercial real estate. We selected that because it's a little bit more, a lot of these leases are 5-10-year leases. It's kind of like set it and forget it, versus residential. It's always renewing leases. It's a lot of operations involved into that, versus in the commercial, it's not. Well, not only did we select that asset for that purpose, but also as a brick and mortar business owner, one of the things that I've always wanted was real estate. But I said to myself, because I know how businesses do, right? They buy 4 or 5 coffee shops, and then they're making income, great income, and they don't know where to invest it, so they invest it back into another coffee shop and another coffee shop. Well, what happens if you can't operate that business anymore? What happens if there's a market change to it? You're creating income, active income, but you're not creating any wealth.
Right.
There's no equity on there. So we created this not only for accredited, you have to be an accredited investor, which we can talk a little bit more if you'd like, but for business owners that are in that situation where, like, I don't have time to invest in real estate, but this is a way that they can invest in our fund. It's called Shield Wealth Income Management Fund. SWIM Fund is what we call it, to shorten it up, but it's a way for them to invest in the real estate fund and monitor where the funds are going, and maybe even in the future partner up with some of these and create some wealth
Right.
for them. So that's what that was kind of my goal. It's obviously expanded to other things from there. But back to the conference, just trying to surround myself around, abundance mind thinkers. And that's really kind of what's important. Like what you were saying, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. And also, if you're the most wealthiest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room also.
Yes.
So just trying to place myself in wealth, not only in pocket wise, but wealth mindset wise, and just seeing how these 1-2% people not only operate their business, but how they are with their relationships with their spouse, how they are relationships with people, how they are their relationships with their kids. It's just a total different mindset than the norm, than what we're used to seeing. And to be able to be part of that all the time, it's just, masterminds, it's, there's just nothing like being part of an organization or a group like that. I definitely recommend anybody, and there's different kinds of masterminds out there for everybody's niche. So I definitely would recommend anybody to make sure that they attend or be part of that. Yes, it costs money, but the reason it costs money, it does filter people from just wanting to pick people's brain, which is what I usually hear. There's so many people say, Fernando, I'd like to pick your brain. If I got $1 for everybody to want to pick my brain, I would probably be really wealthy. But that's not even part of it. The problem is, what will you actually execute?
Right. So tell me, do you have a website now for your business or?
Yes, for the real estate fund, it's shieldwealthfund.com. So if you're interested in you are an accredited investor, you can go in there and take a look at that. Or you can just send me an email at fernandom@shieldwealthfund.com. Or you can check out my IG at Fernando__show and follow me. And if you have any questions, you hit me up.
Yes, and just remember, just because you come into the country, that doesn't mean that you always have to work for somebody. The whole idea and why is this country so amazing and the whole American dream is that you can build wealth. So work less, right? But work smart and let that money work for you, not you working for the money. So we will invite Fernando again for another show because we run out of time today, but because this gentleman is just a wealth of knowledge. So remember, my friends, if you are in a room where are you the smartest person or the healthier, the more successful or the more healthier person, you are in the room, you need to grow and you need to move on to bigger version of yourself. So again, this is Rosie Paulsen. Thank you so much for watching my show, Cafecito with Rosie. Thank you, Fernando, and we'll see each other next time. Bye. Ciao.